I've been trying something new with my compost to be able to have a continuous flow of compost for my garden and greenhouses. I have been starting a compost pile every week. Same compost pile. I use a hay bale right over there and a 5-gallon bucket of chicken manure. I mix it together and keep it as wet as I can. And every single week I move it down the line, and every single week I move it down the line onto the next spot, and that's the time it gets aerated and mixed again and re-soaked. These piles, I'm hoping it's cool as you can see it work its way down the line. This is my 5th week doing a new compost pile. I'm still tweaking the amount of water, the amount of hay, the amount of chicken manure. I'm trying to get the temperature exactly what I want it to be for exactly how long I want it to be. And what's cool is to see how the piles shrink and change. You can see I just mixed this pile. It's just pretty much brand new hay. Can't really see anything breaking down. This is last week's. You could start to see some darkening, some breaking down. This is week 3. Same compost pile. You can see how much darker it is and how smaller the bits are. And this is week 4. These piles, I'm hoping they age for about 8 to 12 weeks. So I want to have 8 to 12 piles of compost going all at once, and I'll just continue to move them down the line and get them to the final stage. This was my first compost. As you can see, it's pretty dark and broken up. This is what good compost should look like. A big mistake in compost is you look at this pile, it looks wet. It feels wet, but you dig right underneath. It's not as wet as I think it should be. It's kind of dry. So you need to make sure it stays wet and it stays wet inside. The thing I've been struggling with in my compost is I think keeping it wet. I don't think I've been keeping it wet enough, even though I think I have. So when you dig into it, you can see the top maybe inch and a half is wet, but anything below that is not wet because it takes some time to seep down. All the hay is absorbing all of this water, so it kind of stops the water from being able to reach down below. So when you're mixing it, I'm mixing each shovel load and soaking that shovel. Mixing again, throw another shovel load on, soak that shovel load. Just keep it as wet as you possibly can, because these microbes that are in here, at least in my experience, you want them to have as much water as they can. The microbes that are going to get your pile going and get it hot are going to be anaerobic microbes. So you want as much water in there as possible because they are going to live in the water. That's their home. Now, once your compost starts getting mature, you don't want as many anaerobic microbes in there, because that means your pile's not getting oxygen. You want your pile to get oxygen once it's later matured. But to get it hot and to get it breaking down quickly in the beginning, I find that making sure it's soaking wet is the way to go. So I'm trying something new here. I've never composted straight weeds. I've always been worried that I wouldn't get the pile hot enough. There would still be a ton of weed seeds in there. But we're trying it, and I hope I don't spread weed seeds everywhere. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just chopping it all up to get it into smaller pieces, so it breaks down a little easier instead of these big chunks that don't want to break apart and decompose. So I cut it all up. I'm just going to throw all this chicken manure on it. I did about half a bucket, 5-gallon bucket, and we're just going to mix it up and see what happens. If you want to check it out, see if I get a good compost out of this, you could follow, maybe like it, spread it around, you know. Don't know how to make social media content, but I could talk while I work. How about it?